ratio of waiters to guests, okay, so that you can get the food out there quickly and it's hot. Well, the morning of, one of the waiters called in sick, something that we could not, we could not help. But as a result, food service was a little bit slow. So the bride actually commented on that. And I did tell her, I do apologize for that. One of our waiters was ill, didn't show up. I do apologize for that. I hope you enjoyed the food. And they knew that it wasn't our fault. We hired the right number. So I don't think there's anything wrong with you letting them know if there's a legitimate reason. But if there was negligence, I wouldn't even go there. I would just say, you know what, we really apologize.
But people appreciate the honesty.
Sure they do.
So when you're coming out, you're letting them know that the person was sick and you were shorted one, and, but they appreciate that. And also, it's not, I being in the hospitality industry, one of my favorite lines is that's not the typical of the fine services that we render. So you're going to let them know that, and you know what, it is a little bit theater. You've got to act surprised. And, and then let them know, as they're talking, you should be writing. They see you writing down and taking the notes, and they know that you're serious about it. But you're absolutely right. If you're able to let them know that, we're not perfect. There's got to be some things that we can improve, and they want to come back because then they say, wow, that's one that's continually improving, and my event was really good. The next time it's going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you want to avoid is saying comments like, well, we're not a 5-star hotel. We're just a church. You don't want to say things like that. That's not going to take you anywhere pleasant. Yes, ma'am.
What I did in a situation like that was I simply refunded her some of the money that we made a mistake on. I apologized to her. At the end of the night, I said, I'm going to make this right. I went back to the office, retallied everything, and sent her back a portion of what would have been a profit for us with a letter. And what that in turn did was it allowed her to come back year after year after year. And she told me the reason why I came back is because of the way you handled the error.
Yes, and refunding is sometimes the answer.
It is.
So be open to that.
Yes.
Be open to that. So, yes, ma'am.
I was thinking when she asked the question, sometimes mentioning something that you feel is inadequate, they may not even realize it's inadequate.
That's true.
So sometimes, you may want to address it if they bring it to you, but we have in our mind, we want this time, and we didn't do something. They don't know all the time.
Absolutely, you're right.
So you bring it, they say, I didn't even know
Oh,
that.
you're right.
So you expose yourself, and they didn't even know.
That's a good way.
A lot of things are transparent to the customer.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree with you. But if it was something that wasn't important to them, you of course make mental notes because you don't want that to repeat.
Right.
But if it maybe wasn't really a big deal to them, they don't care.
Right.
So, but definitely if they make the comment, you need to deal with it. So, yes, ma'am.
I was going to say too, if you're asking them for feedback, be prepared to receive that
Absolutely.
feedback.
So should
with
feedback
grace and with the understanding that I'm a believer in I can't fix it if I don't know it's broken or if something's wrong.
Absolutely.
So if you take that approach, then you're also using it as a learning opportunity to see how you can improve and what you can do better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said.
And so many of these questionnaires you ask, you're kind of rating, or if you will, so in the hotel business, if somebody said, yeah, it was good, that's going to probe a lot of questions. Where you say, yeah, it was very good. That's going to probe some questions because you really want to hear that it was exceptional. It was beyond my expectations. So if you get that feedback, well, then you're okay. But if you're not, then you need to find out, well, why did we not get over there?
Yes.
Yeah.
In answer to your question, I'm sorry, I can't see your name. Marilyn. She said, should it be in writing? Should it be verbal? Well, the answer is whatever you want. Whatever you need it to be. I like to make a personal phone call. But if you want to create some kind of document where it's like a comment, post-event comment sheet, then do that. Send it to them as an email attachment. Say, I really want your feedback, positive and negative, because we want to grow. We want to do good. We want to be more excellent in what we do. Yes, sir.
I tend to think out loud, and so if someone comes to me with some feedback, what I've had to learn to do is I have kind of if they're telling me something I didn't know was an issue, I'll say, thank you for making me aware of that issue. I'll address it with my staff. If they tell me something I did know was wrong, I want to acknowledge that I knew that, but I just say, I was aware of that issue, and I've already addressed it with my
Good.
staff.
Wonderful.
Oh, that's
And that keeps me Cause I'm the guy who says, yeah, I know this happened and this happened, and I'll start spouting off all this stuff that went wrong, and I have to stop. So those are my blanket statements, so I don't say something I shouldn't say.
Well, you know, people can forgive you for things that go wrong, but they can't forgive you for not learning from them. You know, we have to learn from those things. So yeah, be gracious. Remember, we're showing hospitality, gracious in every situation. Be gracious when they offer those comments. Make notes and move on to the next event. Let it be a learning experience. Debrief with your team. This is sort of like internal critique. Okay, you've debriefed with your user, gotten their perspective, what was good, what was bad, or what didn't come out right. Now debrief with your team. This is important because these are the folks that help make it happen for you, and you want their feedback. And my thought here is develop a rapport with your culinary folks, your security folks, all the service members in your building, so that when you come together, they feel completely comfortable with telling you what they really feel. Okay? You don't want to have that kind of stress between you and them to where they're only going to tell you what they think you want to hear. You want them to be honest, because remember, this is a growing experience. We're all in this together. So develop a culture with them, if you will, to where they feel completely comfortable with being honest. From their perspective, this is what went well. From their perspective, this is what didn't go so well. Well, maybe our media team might say, you know, Jan, we had to scramble around to get that extra amplifier. We didn't know that artist needed. It wasn't in their original writer. Okay, thank you for that comment. You know, I'm going to make a note of that, and then maybe next time be more specific in my application about what their needs are. Okay, so you're hearing feedback from your team, positive and negative. All right, and for both, discuss your positive outcomes. This is what you're doing right. This is what you want to keep doing. What went well? Yes, let's do that again, okay? And then, of course, what we don't like to hear, let me go back. What we don't like to hear is the negative part. We talked about that already, but that's hard to hear. Very hard to hear, but you know, we do need to receive it, and the truth is, it's critical to our growth, and it's critical as we strive for excellence. We need to hear that, and we need to change that, okay? Now, as you're hearing all this negative, hopefully it's not a lot, but as you're hearing some of these negative things, the tendency is that we take it personally. I do this, you know, when my users come back with a negative comment, or my service folks, I start to kind of internalize that, start to really feel bad about myself. Resist that, okay? Resist that temptation, all right? But you can say, is there a small fix for this that I could change? Can I put something on my event checklist so that next time this doesn't happen again? It might be an easy fix, but resist the temptation to internalize those negative outcomes that you're going to get some feedback on, okay? And then, finally, on this point, be your own best encourager. Be your own best encourager. And know that these negative things are really opportunities to go to plan B, okay? And hopefully you don't have a lot of those, but plan B is okay if you have to go there, all right? So recognizing that these negative outcomes can turn into opportunities for growth is really important. Yes, ma'am.
I have a way that I approach a debrief with my team. I ask them to specifically think of 3 things that they thought worked very well, and to list 3 things that we could do better or improve on next time.
Very good. Keyword, specific things. Not, hey, good job, although that's not a bad thing to do, but what specifically worked well in your mind? Be specific. Well, you know, I really appreciated the fact that I had a very comprehensive list of the AV needs. That was good. That was very helpful to me on event day. So specifics, very helpful. Hearing that from
And
the
you're
team.
also asking them directly to name 3 things that could have been done better. So
Yes.
they don't feel like they're complaining.
Right.
They don't feel like, well, I wouldn't have said anything, but, you know, it's like I'm asking
Yes.
for 3 things that we could improve on.
And that gets back to that fostering that rapport with them where they can feel comfortable telling you those things. And again, it's all because these negative are supposed to what? Turn around to opportunities of growth for us. So that what? We never stop improving. I love the slogan. Lowe's is just right on. Never stop improving. And those negative outcomes are critical to doing things better the next time, right? So that we never stop growing. So now we've talked about some components that when you break them apart and you plan thoroughly within each one, putting it all together, there are a couple of positive pointers or practical pointers that I want to share with you, and then we'll be done. First of all, there's a story in the Bible that I love. If you will allow me, I'm going to read it to you. It's just a few short verses. It's in Exodus. Moses and the children of Israel crossed the Red Sea. He was on the other side with this massive group of people figuring out how to manage all of these folks. And he was burdened with that prospect. And so one day, Moses' father-in-law saw everything that he was doing for the people, and he asked, "What is this thing you're doing for the people? Why are you alone sitting as judge, while all the people stand around you from morning until evening?" Moses replied, "Because the people come to me to inquire of God. What you're doing is not good," Moses' father-in-law said to him. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said to him. So Moses chose able men from all Israel and made them leaders over the people as commanders of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. What did he do? He delegated. He delegated, didn't he? And they judged the people at all times. They would bring the hard cases to Moses, and then they would judge the minor cases themselves. This is a great model for leadership. Okay? Moses was overwhelmed. You know, when I first started working in events, I came on board, and I just had such high aspirations and hopes for the job and event planning. And so I came on board, and I started planning events and working all of the events myself. And because I knew if I did it, what? It would be done right. Anybody else in here like that? I knew if I did it, it would be done right. Not that I'm all that, but I knew I would work hard, and I would keep working hard until it was done correctly. Okay? Big mistake. I started burning out. And that's what Moses was doing. Okay? He was burning out. So what do we do in a situation like that? None of us in here is as young as we used to be. Right? No matter who you are. Build a team of event coordinators. Now, these are boots on the ground, if you will. These are the people. You've been doing the planning all along. Build a team of coordinators, and may I say, dependable coordinators that will work the event for you. Pay them if you can. In my building, if it's an outside group, I actually charge the outside group the cost of that event planner working. Why can I do that? Well, number one, I know that event planner who's representing our church is going to ensure that the policies and procedures of this building are going to be followed. Okay? What's in it for the user? They're having to pay. Well, what's in it for them is they're getting a coordinator who's familiar with the building, knows all the service providers, and who's going to ensure that everything goes smoothly the day of the event. So it works for both of us. Okay? So sometimes I bill the outside users. Sometimes if we just charge a small rental fee for a room, I take it out of that, okay? And you might be thinking, in your situation, it's really not appropriate to bill anybody. We don't really charge a room rental fee, so what? What do I do? Then in that case, build a team of volunteer event coordinators. There are people in your building that would love to do something like this. Be the gracious host or hostess of the church, welcoming the folks in, okay? Build a team of volunteer coordinators, and at the least, if I might suggest, make sure they have a meal. You know, make sure they have something to eat. I think that's the least we can do for those sweet volunteers who give their time and they're not paid. So develop a team of event coordinators that are dependable. And when you do that, communicate your expectations to them. This might look like a job description. I have an event coordinator job description. on my computer, and every event coordinator that says they're interested, I make sure they read and they're familiar with our church policy, and they know what my expectations, or I should say our building expectations are of them. What time they're supposed to arrive, what time they're supposed to leave, and everything in between. It also says something about the way they're supposed to dress. No jeans. When you're representing the church, business casual. If it's a formal event, you might wear a jacket and tie. So they know exactly what their expectations are. As a matter of fact, I'm real excited. Our church this coming years, we're going to be able to videotape training for our event personnel, which is going to be great. And they have to sit through the video and then take a little small assessment afterwards. And then, that way they know what the expectations are of them as event folks. And then also provide a continuing education for them. Even if it's just meeting with them once a year, go through that list of expectations again. Maybe you've added some things, maybe you've taken some things away. Go through that with them. Don't just assume they know, okay? Clearly communicate expectations to the folks who are representing your office and the church, okay? And then, very important, maintain positive relationships with your service providers. We've talked a lot about your team tonight. So important to my job or the people that I work with. And maintain a positive relationship with them, not just during the event, but before, during, and after. And how do you do that? Couple of thoughts. Be an encourager of your team. Never miss an opportunity to say something specifically to them that's positive. One of our media guys is Christian. He's amazing at weddings. He's just awesome. And I'll say to him, Christian, I really appreciate the way that you scrambled around and got that extra mic for the vocalist we didn't know about. The bride decided at the last minute that she wanted, her mother-in-law to sing. And so thank you for scrambling around. I know you weren't anticipating doing that, but I appreciate that you really went the second mile. Never miss an opportunity to encourage them with specifics. And then, also little things mean a lot. On event day, the service providers that are working the event, I always make sure they have something to eat if they're working through a meal. Even if it's ordering a pizza, little things mean a lot. They're working through meals. And so I think it's a nice gesture to at least offer them something to eat. It's a working meal, they can keep working as they go. But I think that's a nice gesture for them. So keep those relationships healthy with your service providers. And then finally, seek out professional development opportunities. That's why we're here, right? Conferences and seminars. Why is this important to do? Why is it important for us to keep doing this? It takes time away from our desk. Some folks think that it's, I'll probably get a few things out of the conference. But we have to keep doing this. Why? First of all, it encourages creativity. I do my job 9 to 5 every day. You get into a routine with the way you do it, right? And sometimes you're just crying out for new, fresh ideas. So in going to these professional development opportunities, you get new ideas from people that's sitting around you, from presenters, and you take those ideas back and implement them in your own building. So it encourages creativity. Also, what else? It provides opportunities for problem solving. Oh, I have this problem. It's recurring in my building. And it may be an easy fix, but I don't know it. But you're sitting next to someone at the conference who's been through that, and maybe they have an easy answer for you. Okay, great place to problem solve when we do this. Finally, in closing, before every event, I'm driving in, gearing up for it mentally and physically, and I'm praying, Lord, this is not my event, it's your event. It's your event. And as event coordinator, I need some things from you today because I want to bring glory to you. Remember, that's our motivation from the start. I need, Lord, to commit my role to you today as event coordinator. And I need from you wisdom. And the scripture says that the God of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of glory, may give unto you the spirit of wisdom and revelation and the knowledge of him. Great verse for event coordinator.